Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us to reflect on the announcement yesterday that Steven Gerrard was named as the new Aston Villa boss. Apologies, first of all. I did get several messages yesterday saying, when are you going to be talking about this? Best laid plans, international break. We were out for the day, taking my 3-month-old baby to see their grandparents in Ipswich. So this news broke. So I've had a long time to think about it, put it this way, 24 hours or so. But this is the reaction video. Now, what I did do is put out a tweet and see what people thought about it. As ever, you get the full range of opinions over there on Twitter. And I will give you mine. Right now, obviously, Aston Villa getting shot of Dean Smith on Sunday this past weekend, going into the international break, as I just mentioned. Villa losing their 5th game in a row at Southampton on Friday night. And we often tend to work backwards in situations like this when we've got all of the information. So one could possibly imagine that certain reassurances were given about the replacement, maybe in between the gap between Friday and Sunday. I'm speculating, but it did seem, from all the reaction I got from my Dean Smith Leaves Villa video, which you can check out elsewhere on the channel, that this one seemed an understandable firing, but still maybe a tad surprising. And there was certainly an emotional attachment there with Smith and Villa and him being a Villa fan and all of that good stuff. But I think there was some understanding, and the term that kept coming up, bit of a cliche possibly, is taking them as far as he could. Hey, we'll never know. And it's Steven Gerrard's now to take job now to take Villa up to the next level. Of course, Dean Smith had taken them out of the Championship, and I mean, where they frankly shouldn't really be in terms of English football hierarchy, club size, etc., etc. But clubs find themselves sometimes lower than maybe you'd expect them, and you are where you are. But Smith took Villa up. Obviously, they survived on the last day of the season. I wouldn't even say stabilised, moved on well up into the middle of the table, I think 11th spot last season, but not quite at it this season, down in 16th, obviously 5 defeats on the trot. And this idea that it's the post-Grealish era and Smith was going to have to build this side. Obviously, Bailey and Buendia, Ings all came in to replace Grealish, and it hasn't quite happened yet, only the 3 wins. And obviously that losing streak not helping at all. Look, this is a lot of ground that was covered in the Dean Smith video, but that's the situation. That's where we are. And then Villa obviously opens up as a job, and lots of sort of chatter about, frankly, it being a good job. Since Dr. Tony left in, I think, 2018, end of the 17-18 season, and NSWE, or whichever way around those initials come in. We've known Villa have had decent, access to decent funds. Obviously, with FFP, you can't just plough them all in now. We'll see what the Saudis do at Newcastle. But so it was always thought of as a big size club with good resources, and now Steven Gerrard is going to be the guy to, in effect, take that on. And I don't know what the expectation is long term. Obviously, 11th last season, I guess, is top half of the Premier League, and then once you're in that top half, you're only, I don't know, maybe 10 points from the European places, and then it's bridging that gap all the way up to those elite clubs in Europe and the real big boys. And I suppose that's every Premier League club's big dream, although perhaps some are more viable to make that leap than others, and maybe Villa are one of those clubs. Let's talk about Steven Gerrard then. And here is the announcement over on the Villa website. And a couple of things immediately jump off the page. One is that he's only 41, which is very, very young for a manager. Obviously, we know Gerrard's playing career is legendary in the Premier League. Obviously, a one-club guy at Liverpool and winning that Champions League with them and several other honours. Never won the Premier League with Liverpool, did it? That came after when Jurgen Klopp arrived. But he was a great player, Gerrard, and very much a captain and dragged the team forward. Some would even argue, how can I phrase this, to the detriment of the team sometimes, that it was so much get Gerrard on the ball that, maybe the balance was sometimes off, but there was no doubting that he was a great player. The other thing that jumps out straight away before I read from that statement is Christian Purslow is the guy at Villa, CEO or top guy there, whatever the job title is, was also at Liverpool. So there is some kind of link, and it's very easy for us to kind of put two and two together and piece that narrative there. I'll just read from the quotes there. Board of Villa are delighted to appoint Steven as our head coach. Since moving into coaching after his illustrious playing career, Steven began by managing and developing top young players in Liverpool. We'll get on to Rangers, but he did do the Liverpool academy job. And I think Neil Critchley at Blackpool as well, there's certainly something happening there at Liverpool in terms of developing coaches, because if Gerrard does well and establishes himself as a Premier League coach, Critchley's certainly making waves down at Blackpool as well. So something there. Took the brave decision to test himself in the intense and high-pressured environment of the Scottish old firm. Subsequent achievement in winning the Premiership title with Rangers caught our eye, as did his experience in Europe. It's been very clear in our discussions with him that Steven's coaching ambitions, philosophy and values entirely match those of Villa's. We're excited he has agreed to lead us in the next phase of our ambitions and plans as we look to build on the progress made since Nassef, Soris and Wes Edens took over the club in 2018. Look, we'll talk a bit about Rangers in a second. Just Gerrard, kind of the person and the bloke, and obviously, most managers would probably fit this category, but does strike you as a enormously driven and almost laser focused. I always remember watching his interviews as a player and would literally never give anything away in an interview. It was all just focused towards winning. And look, the proof is in the pudding. Anyone can come out and say these things. But the coaching career does look good so far. You can see there on the left, appointed as a 37-year-old with Rangers at the start of the 18-19 season, or that close season. And you can see on the right there, and look, people will make judgments about the Scottish League. Some will be reasonable, some will be unreasonable. What would probably be reasonable to say is that Celtic had been dominant in Scotland. You can see there 1, 2, 3 Celtic wins in the league there. Then 3 for Rangers at the turn of the decade there. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins at the point in a row there when Stevie Gerrard went in. I think it's a reasonable comment to say that when you're managing in Scotland, your chances are exponentially bigger of doing something or winning something, particularly if you're manager of Celtic or Rangers. I don't think I'm saying anything controversial by saying they're the two biggest clubs there, and they are dominant in terms of, and you only have to look at who wins anything, and it is normally Celtic and Rangers in there. I also don't think it's unreasonable to say two things, two kind of conflicting things. One is that Rangers is a very big club. I always judge kind of a club by fan base and by interest as well as then turnover, history, and on-pitch success. And Rangers certainly generates a huge amount of interest. So that is a definite big feather in Gerrard's cap. And Purslow referenced it, didn't he? The high intensity of the old firm. I think we can all agree with that. But I do think we can all agree, playing-wise, and what Gerrard would come up against. And look, you rank it where you like. It's certainly not on a level with the Premier League in terms of the opponents that Gerrard would have come up against. Obviously, I accept the argument that he came up against better opponents in Europe, so he's tested himself against that. So I think there's a few things you've got to kind of factor in terms of when you're analysing managers coming from Scotland into England. Obviously, we'd like it to be a sensible conversation because sometimes that particular narrative is not discussed in the most grown-up way, but I think we'll try and do so there, and certainly suggest that, as Purslow says, the intensity and look, the challenge of beating Celtic is big enough, with the caveat that maybe the challenge of beating everybody else isn't quite what he's going to be going up against in the Premier League now. And this is what he did up the top there. You can see in his first season actually finishes third in the Scottish Premiership. And, you talk about expectations, but he would probably consider that, below expectations. You've got to finish in the top two if you're old firm, haven't you? So, it works both ways. Excuse me. That's not his season. Sorry, forget that. I've got 17, 18. He came in 18. Forget that. He immediately finished second. Scrub that sentence from your brain because I'm not going to go back and edit it. My bad there. So he finished second twice. And then you can see that last season, incredible stuff there. Look, undefeated in a 38-game season, 100 points as well, and 92 goals. So absolutely dominant. Again, I'm sure I'll get comments saying that Celtic slipped off there. Maybe true enough, but unbeaten is unbeaten. I heard Trevor Sinclair saying this on the radio. It doesn't matter whether it's under 15s or, World Cup or Champions League. Undefeated is undefeated. And what you can see is a definite progression. I mean, you can even see it just in the points column there, and the defeats as we sort of go forward. Obviously, the points column in 2019-20 is obviously shortened by the COVID pandemic. Down the bottom there, I've got the stats from last season. And yes, again, I accept the argument that two teams are quite dominant in Scotland. So you would expect Rangers, you can see them top on possession, top on pass accuracy and shots created. And you can see on the right-hand side his preferred team there. Not professing to be an expert on Scottish football or any of those players, whether he'd be interested in bringing any of them down at any point. But what you can see is a 4-3-3, which strangely enough was... I think we've seen Dean Smith experiment with a hell of a lot of stuff. And, maybe that's revealing. But, Smith was sort of 4-1-4-1, first of all, at Villa. And 4-2-3-1, I think, most successfully last season. I think the idea was possibly to work towards a 4-3-3 with the extra presence of Bailey and Buendia and Ings alongside Watkins there. So that's something Gerrard will have to do, and we'll get into the old, do you fit the players to the philosophy or philosophy to the players? I don't know. There's arguments for doing both, but that's Rangers. And again, I will repeat, I study the Championship in and out, and my dearly departed teams. I am no expert on Scottish football, so please feel free to put your comments in down the bottom. And if you do know more about me than more about Scottish football than I do, please don't be angry about the fact I don't know as much as you. Use that as an opportunity to educate all of us down there in the chat if you are a Scottish football fan. So here's what Gerrard goes into at Villa down in 16th. Immediately, I'll be very binary about this. I think most people would have Villa's squad as being better than 16th, and ultimately the expectation is to be going up a few positions between now and the end of the season. And that's probably quite realistic. I don't think Steven Gerrard has to go in and be incredible for Villa to go up some places. So I think he almost comes in at a good point in terms of a possible trough or a little drop down that you wouldn't think would be going much lower. Villa are in trouble if it does go lower under Gerrard. And that squad, you would think Martinez, the keeper, is got a lot of star quality. It was a back four last year: Konza, Mings, Cash, and Target, that worked very, very well. I know it seems the group think at the moment is to go in two-footed on Tyrone Mings, who may not be in good form, but he's an England international, and he and Konza, and certainly Martinez behind, formed a very good defence last year if they can get back to that. In midfield, John McGinn's obviously been a very good player. Douglas Luiz had generally been partnering him. Jacob Ramsey's emerged this season. And then it's the configuration of, a Premier League goalscorer there in Ings who's recently arrived, an England forward in Watkins, sort of wide inside forward in Buendia down the right-hand side. Bailey, sort of very direct in from Germany. And then you've got the likes of Trezeguet and Traore El Ghazi as well, who are wide players. So I think it's just finding the formula and going with that for Stevie Gerrard. In terms of how I think he's going to do, I found the conversation with this a bit frustrating because it feels like football fans get a little bit confused with managers who are, quote, inexperienced. And we get a lot of quite reductive, quite simplistic comments of, oh, well, ex-manager has never managed in the Premier League, therefore they shouldn't be given the chance to manage in the Premier League, and they're going to fail because they've never managed in the Premier League. And you kind of think, well, yeah, that's very easy to say. Frankly, you could say that about literally every manager, 100%, that ever managed in the Premier League, because, go figure, they have to have come from somewhere. I get the argument that if someone's coming from, I don't know, Italy or Spain and they've won trophies there, that, yeah, okay, that's extra experience. But, realistically, how many of them are there? So I get both sides of this, that Gerrard's only 41 and he's young. I don't want to hear the great players don't automatically make great managers. Nobody automatically makes a great manager. I don't think anybody's saying that. So let's park that to one side. We know Gerrard was a great player, and if this was his first job, I think that would be a bit more of a relevant comment. But he's obviously gone away and done the Liverpool Academy, and a good stint up at Glasgow Rangers. And whatever you think about that as preparation for coming to the Premier League, that's up to you. The proof is now in the pudding. So look, good luck to him. I like the hire. I like the story. I like the narrative. It is a big name coming back to the Premier League. Whether working with Glasgow Rangers for the 3 seasons or whatever it is, 3 and a bit seasons that he has, is a good grounding or not, mixed with his own determination and ability and work ethic and intelligence and the people he brings with him, whether that's all enough, we'll find out, won't we? It may be, it may not be. That may be stating the bleeding obvious, but I don't feel it's particularly high information to just go down this, he's never been here before and he's never managed at this level before. Yeah, I know. Only 5 managers in the world would probably have jobs then if that was the case. People do have to be promoted, and on the one hand, I hear people talking about, they shouldn't go for just the usual suspects and that's boring. And then on the other hand, it's, he's inexperienced. Well, it can't be both ways, can it? Clubs do need to give younger managers a chance. And I don't think it's fair to say he's just been given the job because of his reputation, because obviously he has done that work before. How he does at Villa, well, who the hell knows? Is he an upgrade on Smith? Again, who knows? We will find out. But the deal is done, and Villa are moving on into the Steven Gerrard era now. I will watch with great interest. Yes, not all great players become great managers. Some do. Zidane has certainly won a fair few European Cups. I think Kenny Dalglish did all right, didn't he? I'm sure there's plenty of other examples of ones that are successful. But I do think we need to kind of park that. I think Steven Gerrard's earned the right for that not to be the conversation, given he's gone away and, you know, presumably worked his backside off up at Glasgow Rangers. So look, let me know your thoughts on the hire. I did like Dean Smith, but I like this. It's a new face. No manager's a guarantee. Look, Big Sam even got relegated last season. Jose was a flop at Spurs. So no manager is a guarantee. There is a certain amount of gamble on every single one. And where it takes Villa, I don't know. There's probably frustratingly for Villa fans, there's obviously this talk about that ultimately he's going to be the Liverpool manager. Well, look, unless you get a kind of situation that we've got Manchester United where a club great kind of just falls into that job, that's no guarantee. And I've heard the argument as well, if Steven Gerrard, if Liverpool stay where they are in the hierarchy and Steven Gerrard ends up becoming their manager, he's probably done a very good job at Villa, but that's for another day. Can he take this Villa side up the table? Yes, he can. I think the squad is decent. Can he get them into the top 8? That might be tricky. We'll see, but they're well backed. His career so far has been decent, and I don't know. I kind of like the look of it, and we'll see how it all pans out. Let me know what you think down there in the comments on Steven Gerrard, the former Liverpool great and England great and Glasgow Rangers manager, joining us in the Premier League and with the dearly departed. It's a big name. And who are the dearly departed, by the way? If you're watching me for the first time, these are the teams that I cover that have been in the Championship. We've got a specific show here on the channel about Leeds, Villa, Norwich, Watford and Brentford. So if you haven't already, subscribe if you are a Villa fan for more Villa content. And I know there'll be a few if you're a Glasgow Rangers fan as well. Get your comments in on what we can expect from Gerrard at Villa. Thank you everybody for watching. Sorry we're a little bit delayed after the fact with this one, but family needs must and whatnot. And I'll probably see you at some point in the next 36 hours talking about a new manager in Norwich or Cardiff or Barnsley or wherever. So keep watching and it's a lovely over and out from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.